Welcome back. How about a TEG video, right? All right, it's almost the end of August. Best month this channel's ever had. Why not? So, I want to talk about what I've been watching on TV, and this is movies, this is TV, wrestling's going to be mentioned in this too. So look for some randomness, and I'm going to talk about them in this order. All right. First off, I finally finished the reboot of Child's Play, and I mean finally finished as in I watched the first half up until he unplugs Chucky, and I'm like, it's not going to work. I just turned it off. I'm like, I'll watch the rest of this later. Uh, and I can see why people hated on it. I can also see what it was trying to do. It was trying to modernize the idea. The My Buddy doll, which is what Chucky was a rip on, which in this one they just call it, it's pretty darn close to just being the My Buddy doll. But the My Buddy doll was creepy. I remember back in the 80s when those commercials were on. And then, of course, Robot Chicken did a send up on it as well, My Stalker. But they were creepy. And so the Child's Play thing worked. Now, trying to do a reboot, it's tough. I think Aubrey Plaza did as well as she could with what she was given. Aubrey Plaza is a fantastic actress. And I thought, but here's the thing. The original Child's Play, I've never liked it. I've watched it 3 times. I've tried, and I've watched it not that long ago. I think 2 years ago was the last time that I watched it from start to finish, because people love the movie, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, is it something I'm missing? Maybe I'll go back. Maybe I'll go back. And so with this movie, if I had to grade this one versus the other one, I'd put them right around the same. The ending doesn't make a lot of sense in this one though, so I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm just going to say they seem to alternate between Chucky having these vast, fantastical powers towards the end, and not. Where I'm like, based on what we just saw, if he wanted to kill these people, it's over. But he's talking because it's a movie and he's a villain. So there are times where Chucky's talking that he shouldn't be, and I this is something I've talked about in horror movies before. I sometimes think they glaze over things or gloss over things where, so and so's turning evil. Well, can we get it? No, we're just going to get the evil? Okay. There was sort of this childlike innocence to Chucky, the way that he comes out of the box, and he doesn't have the violence inhibitor. He doesn't have, the other inhibitors that the other adults have. Why you need the inhibitors, the question I have. Like, it really is. Basically, Chucky in this is the little Krusty that's trying to kill Homer, and it was set to evil, and so the guy just comes in and sets it to good, and it's fine. And it really feels like this is not so much a remake of Child's Play, it's a remake of Homer fighting with the Krusty doll. Because the powers more line up with the Krusty doll than they do with the Chucky doll from the 80s, where he didn't have powers. He was just a psycho that put his spirit into this doll and then went, I can murder people now. But again, what threw me off was I was like, okay, does he have great power or does he not? Because he seemed to, and now he doesn't. And like, oh, he could do this. And again, I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't watched it. I just feel like there was a good movie there, and they almost nailed it. The casting was fantastic. The casting, not just Aubrey Plaza, but everybody was cast really well from top to bottom, and I thought it was pretty well made. But there's something keeping it from being a good movie. It is not Mark Hamill's voice acting, though. Mark Hamill's voice acting is, as always, on point. I want to talk about Stranger Things, because whenever we do a live stream, and I don't think it matters which channel I'm on, at least once I'll be asked, have you watched Stranger Things? So Yvonne and I both started watching the show before we met each other. And when we met, Yvonne said, okay, well, we'll watch the show together. And things happen and life happens, and it wasn't on our list of top we must watch this shows. So we've started. We are 2 episodes into the first season. We're watching what we've already watched because it's been so long since we watched it. We need to refresh our memories, and so we had to start over from the beginning. I was willing to jump in halfway through the first season because I think that's where I left off. But I'm the kind of person that I can turn on a movie halfway through and go, okay, I know what's going on here. Yvonne can't do that. It has to be start to finish. So it is a constant battle where I'm like, okay, I want to watch. Oh, this has started 10 minutes ago. And even though it's just 10 minutes, she will say, I want to watch this from the start. I don't want to. So, and I understand that. I'm a person that just picks up halfway through and goes, yeah, this is fine. And sometimes I'll watch a movie facing the other direction, Starship Troopers. A funny story with Starship Troopers. I see this cult following for Starship Troopers, and I don't understand why. Stranger Things, on the other hand, I get it. Stranger Things is a well-made show. Winona Ryder is fantastically talented, and you really feel the pain of the mother in that first couple of episodes, and you really feel it. And on some level, you're going, yeah, but it's not Will, is it? It's gonna be the Demogorgon messing with her. Anyways, and again, that's just me. I'm only a couple episodes in, and I remembered what was going on towards the end of the second episode. I was like, that character's about to die, and sure enough, yep. And I'm like, okay, so I have not forgotten everything. All right. So Stranger Things, yes, we're watching it. We're going to get through it, and then we can talk about the seasons. I understand that the third season, apparently the quality dips a bit, but season 4 gets it back on track. So I'm looking forward to getting through that, so that at least when people ask in live streams, so if you watch Stranger Things, I can say yes, and then the topic is done. I also want to talk. This is driving me crazy. The online, and I'm going to basically both of these here. The amount of, first off, the amount of people who have never been anywhere near a wrestling ring that want to tell wrestlers how to do their job is fantastic. It is similar to in hockey when you'll see some, and I say this because Hockey Guy channel and all the hockey in the background. When you'll see somebody go, well, that was a stupid play, and this guy's a moron, this guy's a terrible player, and it's like, okay, wait a minute. Bad play, sure. Bad player, no, because they made it to the NHL. Bad players don't generally get there. Bad wrestlers generally don't end up on TV very often. They do. Now, I'll start with Aaliyah versus Bayley from last night, because this is apparently a topic. I was watching What Culture, the ups and downs from Raw, and Simon Miller saying that there's a lot of people who said Aaliyah's not ready for TV. First off, she has had so many matches postponed. She's had so many times where she goes to the ring and Lacey Evans won't wrestle her, or something else, or she's locked in a cupboard by Shotzi. They really haven't given her the ring time. So Aaliyah she's very pretty. She's got a different look, and with the WWE with women, that will usually get them bumped up. They will usually come up to the top, to the main roster a little bit faster if they're very pretty and they have a different look. I don't think Aaliyah was as bad as other people are saying. I watched the match with Bayley. I'm not saying it was a great match, but I do think that people are really hard on new wrestlers in a way that they're not with veterans. I was watching the tag match, and Alexa Bliss, there were two moments in the tag match where Alexa Bliss, I thought, kind of blew it. Where I was like, wow, and I remember just saying that was awkward, and then there's a move right after, and I was like, man, that's not great. And the funny thing is, I noticed that, and in the Aaliyah versus Bayley match, I didn't really notice anything that I thought was egregious. Again, she's learning, she's young, and I don't think she's had enough time in the ring actually plying her craft. Maybe stop having her opponent refusing to wrestle her and give her the shot. Now, I also want to talk about AEW's haters. Now, there's a spillover. There's definitely some of the same people complaining here are going to be the same people complaining and hating on AEW. And I can make this WWE haters as well. I talked about this in a recent video. I do not understand the absolute sheer hatred that I see online directed towards one company or the other. If you are a fan of wrestling, and I have a Penelope Ford shirt. Why else would I have a Penelope Ford shirt if I'm not a wrestling fan? I think she's underrated. So I think now that she's back from injury, I hope she gets a proper push. I say that knowing she got beaten this week. But the hate that I see for AEW is just, it's so over the top. And part of it is that the rumor mill, it'll just feed into that hatred. So right now everybody's like, oh, look, CM Punk's a jerk. Well, yeah, we know. It's not like CM Punk at any point in time in the last decade has had a really good word of mouth reputation in any company he's been in. But he's a very good worker. He's very good at working the fans and working in the ring. He is competent. I'm trying to think of the last time I remember him hurting somebody in the ring, which is a good measure of a wrestler. And I honestly think a lot of what we're seeing might be half-truths that kind of get cranked up. It feels like there's some half-truths in there that are getting cranked up to 11 because they enjoy seeing the online wrestling fans kind of melt down. I definitely think there's some of that there too. And I really think that there's too much criticism of probably both products, although right now WWE is in that honeymoon phase where Triple H is running things. And you can tell he's running things because Chad Gable suddenly is being treated like a wrestler. Sheamus is going to get a push. Ricochet isn't losing every week anymore. Ciampa looks like Tommaso Ciampa yet again. Now his ring gear is not the same as it was in AEW, but he is being treated seriously. You can see too that the way that the show is put together, you're getting different, fresh matches every week. I've had zero complaints about the way WWE is booking since Triple H took over. But this is the start. Give it 6 months, give it a year, give it 2 years. There are favorites that Triple H is going to put in main event spots that people are going to argue about, they're going to quibble about, and they're going to be mad about. Because that's how the internet works when it comes to wrestling. It has been that way forever. I am old enough to remember when it was Triple H himself who was catching the ire of the online community for burying everybody. The golden shovel or however else it was put for Triple H, where he just bury everybody. And it was frustrating to me as a fan. I remember being like, okay, cool, all right, Chris Jericho's finally getting his run. Oh, Triple H is here, and the belt's gone. All right, so much for Chris Jericho's push. He got beaten fairly, meaning clean, and there's nothing really to go on, and that feud's over. All right, Jericho is no longer top of the card. And that was frustrating. And there are other wrestlers, too, that Triple H, Booker T is a famous example. Booker T should have won that match at Mania. Triple H, considering the build-up and considering how just awful he was in that feud, and I mean awful in a complimentary way that you really hated him, Booker should have won that match. And it made no sense that Triple H went over because he didn't need it. He didn't need the win. He didn't even need the belt by that point, but he beats Booker. And so that's one of those things that I remember in the back of my mind. So while Triple H is getting a lot of praise right now, and it's correct, there are going to be wrestlers who get favored that I would say a year or two from now, people are going to be like, I am really sick of insert name of wrestler here because he's getting opportunities that the other guys aren't. So bookers will always have their favorites. I'm sure Booker T has his favorites as well. How does that work? When Booker T was running he ran his own company, right? So was he Booker? Right? So that's Booker. He's the Booker. Right? So anyways, why? And yeah, Booker, that's weird as a wrestling name since that's your boss. He's the Booker. No, I'm Booker. No, you get into who's on first way too quickly. I also want to talk about something that Yvonne and I watched that I honestly did not know the whole story of the Woodstock 99. The way that I remembered it in my broken brain was that they had day 2 and it was such a disaster and there was so many fights and there was so much going on that they didn't have day 3. I had forgotten. I mean, in my brain it was, well, they shut it down after day 2 because riots will shut it down. Nope. So the Woodstock documentary, if you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. It's honestly, it's entertaining. And then I turned to Yvonne and I said, a lot of these people are our age, right? So, And it just, it really dawns on you that there's a lot of stuff that went on at Woodstock that was pretty rough. And the fact that the organizers, right until the very bitter end, were going, yeah, it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good. Sure, there's fires and there's violence and there's a lot of hate, but we think it's been pretty good. All right, cool. And of course, Fred Durst became persona non grata with a lot of people based on him encouraging it and seemingly enjoying it. So the Woodstock documentary gets into that as well. And it's an entertaining documentary to watch. Again, it's been a long time now since that event. And yes, I will agree with the conclusions of that documentary. There will never be another Woodstock, but there can't be. One thing I remember in '99 when they were putting this together, I kept thinking, it's not the '60s. My generation is not trying to get anybody out of Vietnam. My generation doesn't have some peace, love, not war message. We don't have this trying to change the world. We don't even go out and sing the I'd like to buy the world a Coke song while we're all holding candles. We'll be lighting each other on fire. So, I mean, when it fell apart, I remember thinking, yeah, you've got way too many people, and I had no idea either about the water, the food, everything else. And MTV staying as long as they did, I think, was crazy. Like, just seeing this seething mass of humanity and realizing how little there was protecting the MTV DJs, or well, VJs. I'm stunned that that was going on. And again, it showed it in a way that I didn't see. I remember watching it on TV and being like, yeah, it's a tire fire, of course it is. But yeah, it was something. So I recommend that if you haven't watched it. It definitely, there was information there I didn't know, and they still had they were able to get the interviews with the guys who put it together. And, in one case, I was like, this guy's still in denial that this went as badly as it did. He's still kind of like, it would have gone all right, but, these things happen. No, this was awful. You guys planned this terribly. So, yeah, it's worth a viewing. But there you go. Just sort of a discussion of things I've been watching on TV. And, of course, I watch an episode of Bar Rescue every single day, sometimes two. Having discovered that show so late, it's great because there are over 100 episodes for us to get caught up on, and that makes me happy because it's something that we get caught up on. And again, I will point out that one thing with a show like Bar Rescue, they're one-offs. They're casual, they're fun. You can't be like, oh, I don't know what's happening in this episode because did we watch the episode before this? Nope. It doesn't matter what order you watch them in. It doesn't matter about any of it. And it is just mindless fun. And sometimes that's what you need at the end of a long day. And that is usually when we're watching Bar Rescues at the end of the day. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.